Okay, this has a really kind of wonky interface. To access the menu, you push the dial. You can go to Quick Settings, Print File, Position, SD card, etc. Go to the Quick Settings, you can tell it to Home All. That'll bring the nozzle to the home position. In any case, there are two things you have to do to start off with. One is to level the table or tram the table, and you probably have to load filament. So the first thing you have to do either of those is to preheat the Platen and the nozzle. So you're going to select it and then push the knob to make that selection, and it's going to take a while to flip back to the main menu. But when it does, it'll start to show you the temperatures of the bed and the nozzle. Okay, so there's your nozzle temperature at the top, which is in the 90s climbing up to 215, and the bed is in the 30s climbing up to 60. Okay, so you see it's getting up to temperature here, close. So the two things we want to do are to level the bed. The way to do that is to push the button, get to Quick Settings, hit Home All, and that'll put the bed, put the nozzle where it needs to be. So this is probably the fussiest thing you need to do with the printer to set up. Just kind of clean the bed off. So you'll see you have these adjusting knobs here, and you have the head. So it's called leveling the table. The actual term for it is tramming the table. So what I'm going to do is go into my Quick Settings as I showed you and hit Home All. And that's going to bring the head to the home position. And now for this printer, I have to turn this off. So now that it's off, I can move the bed freely. And you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm just using a simple piece of paper. It's coated stock, and you simply slide it under the nozzle. And you want it, I don't know if you can really see that, but it's under the nozzle, and you want it to have a little bit of resistance. So that's perfect. If it wasn't perfect, I could use this to raise it or lower it, bring it up a little tighter, or loosen it. Go to the other side, do the same thing. Again, this is just a little bit of resistance. That actually feels a little bit loose, so I'm going to loosen it. The biggest challenge to this is really having the patience to do it right. And remembering which direction the knobs go. Okay, so that seems okay. Same process on all four corners. You want to do it fairly quickly because you don't want the bed to cool down too much. That will affect the dimensions. So while it's out here, just make sure the bed's nice and clean. And once you have it set, turn it back on. If you find that you're adjusting one corner or a couple corners pretty severely, it's a good idea to do it about 2 or 3 times just to make sure that everything is settled out and level. And again, just going to go Home All, and bring the machine back to start. So to sort of check that leveling, and this is something that really, it's a little tough to really get a grip on until you've had a little bit of experience, but you start a print and then you look very closely at how the first couple of beads go down. So I just started that up. It's going to take some time to warm back up again. Okay, so it's getting ready to print. And I'm going to look very closely at the first couple of lines it lays down. And I want them, above all, I want them even. I'd like to see it a little bit flattened. Okay, you're seeing a nice fine line now. So you want it sticking to the table, and you want a little bit of a curve to it. You don't want it entirely flat, and you don't want too much of a curve, because if it's too much of a curve it won't stick to the table. So this right now is looking fairly ideal. If you don't get a result like this, the first thing to check is your table leveling again. But it may be an issue with the bed being old and sort of manky or dirty. Or it may be actually we've had a couple of problems with certain filaments that aren't really great, or they're old, or they're maybe wet, or something. But the first step is to check the bed leveling.